Hello, good afternoon, everyone.
Hey, folks. No, I guess you can hear me. It sounds a little loud.
Can everybody hear okay?
Yeah?
Yeah? All right, great.
All right, brilliant.
Well, thanks so much for coming. I'm Tim Gasper. This is Derek Birdsong from ServiceNow and data.world. Just as a heads up before we kick off, our booth is literally right over here. Please stop by and say hi. We'd love to give you a demo and chat with you. Also, we have an exec dinner that's tonight. So if you're interested to join us, we'd love to have you come chat with us. And subscribe to Catalog and Cocktails. Now that we're part of ServiceNow, the podcast is going to continue again. And we're going to be doing our first episodes this week, so please stay tuned. So, Eric, over to you.
Thank you, Tim. All right, so really excited to be here with you. You probably have not seen a green lanyard yet at this event before, but hopefully we can explain to you a bit about where that comes from. So we're going to talk to you today a bit about how to create clarity from your data chaos. And one of the ways that we're doing that is by bringing together data.world as part of the ServiceNow platform. And you've probably heard that this acquisition took place maybe earlier this year. We announced this in May at our Knowledge event. If you're already a ServiceNow or a data.world customer, or maybe both in many cases, this should be very exciting to you. If you're neither, it's probably also exciting, but we'll explain to you a bit why, because you may not know yet. But first, for those of you who aren't terribly familiar, what is ServiceNow? The ServiceNow AI platform is designed to bring together data, AI, and workflow automation together within a single platform. And this is particularly exciting in an era where AI execution and providing intelligence to those agents is pretty vital. Otherwise, you're not terribly intelligent, are they? 85% of the Fortune 500 use our platform as the fundamental automation tool for how they execute business. We tend to over-index on mid-sized and overly large enterprises, so even if you don't know if you have ServiceNow or not, you may anyway. So maybe ask around within IT, HR, finance, supply chain, ERP, et cetera. We might already be there. So reach out and check us out. The concept is this. So when AI is connected, you have real-time data insights through these intelligent workflows, all connected together. Again, data, AI, and workflow execution together. And this is really the foundation for what we see as business transformation using AI, making all this as seamless as possible. We have a single platform architecture. But what you'll note there on the lower side there with data and analytics, it's not new to the ServiceNow platform. So you'll see a really fun tag up there. Data and analytics is not new to our platform. We are calling this out as a specific area of application and infrastructure, regardless of what application may come to us from, whether it is CRM, ITSM, HR service delivery, legal, finance, supply chain, as I mentioned. But data analytics as a concept supporting all of this is not new. As you look at some of the capabilities within the platform, as I mentioned, any cloud infrastructure, we are available on any of those platforms, whether that is on-prem, fully cloud, in a fully SaaS environment. But more specifically, we're available to any industry as well. We have a single data model architecture and a single code base for this entire platform. No company this size, no platform this sophisticated has ever done this before, and that's not like Derek's opinion. That is kind of fundamentally true within the enterprise software industry. So unlike some of the other platforms that you may be experiencing and maybe not having a ton of fun with, we are fundamentally religiously dedicated to a single data model and a single platform architecture. Data.world will fit right into that. But it's entirely open, right? As you look at access to any data, any AI tool, whether that is our agents in generative AI or someone else's or 15 combinations of that, the execution platform is connectable into any of those. And particularly as you look at what you're doing with data cataloging and governance today, you do not have to be a ServiceNow customer to utilize data.world and vice versa. And we'll talk a bit about how we're going to do that.
And just one thing on that before you move forward, Derek, is I think it's exciting that ServiceNow for a very long time has been the world leader in workflows, right? And now has a very big focus on AI. So that's obviously a big way to take those workflows, make them more automated. And data has always been a fundamental aspect, but really you have to have that data foundation to work with all these things for it to be really effective. And a lot of the things you need to do around governance and around AI readiness require that you combine all three of these things together as well. So I think that's a very exciting kind of approach to do all three of these things.
Absolutely. Well said. But here is the issue. Your data may not be entirely AI ready. And by probably, I mean it's definitely not. Because as we survey chief data officers and chief information officers, Less than 4% believe their data is AI ready today. We'll define a bit about what that means. But this is going to become a problem if AI becomes your general transformation engine, kind of alongside workflow automation. Now, as we look at what Gartner says about this, they did a survey back in March. 60% of AI projects are going to fail. This is not a projection so much as a reality of what they're seeing already. The number, frankly, they project is going to get higher as we get throughout this year and into 26. And the fundamental reason is due to a lack of AI-ready data. So let's talk about a bit what that is. We believe there are three pieces to this. Next-gen data infrastructure. So this is a foundational database or set of databases that runs your operational insights. Yes, you need speed, you need horizontal scalability, but more importantly, you need flexibility, right? You need the ability to not necessarily even store all of the data that you're going to need to fuel AI agents. It could be a zero-copy paradigm where you're simply taking what I like to call Polaroids of data sources in various places, taking action on those data sources, and then not necessarily storing that data for a long time, because let's be honest, that's very expensive. The second is data access. You need to have connectivity, regardless of data source, whether that is a modern system in the cloud, whether it's a legacy system, whether you have an ERP that's in this box that various vendors won't let you get to. You need to have access to all of that data so that you have information that is up to date at all times. We'll talk about that. And finally, and appropriately, you need data catalog and governance as a foundation to all of that so that you have managed, governed access to that data throughout the entire platform for any execution that you're taking, as well as what the actual business outcome and measuring that ROI is. We'll talk about that as well. So first, the infrastructure. RaptorDB is technically our proprietary database that runs the ServiceNow platform, but this is based on open source Postgres. The only real difference is that it is specifically tuned over many months of study and testing for AI agent execution at scale. So up to many, many terabytes of transactions and very, very high transactions per second, which is what the platform is built for. This Postgres is designed specifically for those high transaction workloads, both operational as well as analytical. And that is simply the only difference between what our Postgres is versus what you can kind of pull off of GitHub. Yeah. It's also open. So this is not proprietary to where you can't get into it. If you have our platform, you can't get anything out. It's designed, again, for this any data architecture, which is particularly unique. Further from that, our analytical platform, which we call Platform Analytics, is designed for these real-time insights. But you can also export these insights to any other third-party tool. You can consume them from any AI agent, not just ServiceNow AI agents. And this is a particular step forward because, again, I don't know if you've played Jenga, some of these types of things. If you don't have the foundation, the infrastructure in place, it doesn't much matter what's going on top of the stack. So we think this is important. That's why it's number one. Number two is this access to any data. This is why we introduced Workflow Data Fabric. Here, the actual fundamental technology is probably more like 7 or 8 years old. If any of you kind of go back in the ServiceNow Ease, back to the Madrid release way back when, slightly before my time in ServiceNow. But this integration architecture has been around for quite a while. We've only added to it. The second essential ingredient of the connectivity is vital because, again, it connection to the actioning system. You don't have an integration platform over here for APIs, integration platform over here for data and ETL and streaming. We have all of these capabilities available within the same fabric. And it's not just, again, our data, of course, something like 92 or 3%. I don't know. There's a study out there on our website somewhere that says that most of the data that's used for your workflow execution, your AI agent execution is not ours, nor should it be. So this is where access to any data source is vital, and our Workflow Data Fabric enables this. We'll double click into that. The whole concept, again, behind Workflow Data Fabric, this kind of data access tool, is to connect any source, understand that data with semantic understanding, not simply what does the record say for Jim, who has this invoice number and has been a customer for this many years. Rather, it is an understanding of why this record matters in the context of a certain workflow, in the value of the customer, in the actual business result whenever we ran an execution against them to say, hey, your network is down. We'd like to give you a little discount on your bill. What does the lifetime value of that customer mean in the end? This is an understanding of the data and a relationship between not just that record, but also every other data source and information that we have on that individual. This is kind of housed within our knowledge graph technology, which Tim is going to show you because it's very fun. We'll talk to you a bit about that. But what you'll see is a bunch of new tags here. Zero copy connectors. I talked a bit about that. You do not have to have a actual copy of every source of data that you've ever had. Whether it's yours, whether it's a partner's data, whether it's a legacy system, a modern system, you do not need to replicate data all over the place because then you just have a bunch of replications of data. Things can tend to get out of sync. You have to spend a lot of time and money on data quality issues. You do not need to copy every source of data. This is where zero copy connectors to a number of different resources is vital, not just for storage costs and things like that, but it creates this data chaos. Further, take a look at external content connectors for unstructured data, Stream Connect for Apache Kafka and other streaming protocols, as well as something new that we introduced here just in this last Zurich release, which is multi-context protocol. If you're going to connect an AI agent, you're probably, hopefully, not going to only connect it to a general purpose LLM. Please don't do that. As you look at the types of information that an AI agent needs, it may not simply be a call to a GTP. It may look something more like a data record that you have already in your system today. You do need the raw information on a customer, on a partner, on product inventory, and you might even want to throw some augmented protocol on top, right, with RAG. All of this is available through our MCP. We have both the client and server available, not simply for connecting to our agents, again, any agent or third-party agent, or a combination, right? You may have agentic workflows which have ServiceNow AI agents, some agent force from Salesforce agents running as a trigger based on something that happens in ServiceNow. You may also have a bunch of co-pilots that go off and do whatever they do. I don't know. If someone knows, they can tell me. But ultimately, the architecture allows you to do any of those things, not simply for our own AI agents or for what we'd call a deterministic workflow, set of business rules that go and runs the executions. MCP connectivity is vital. Underpinning all of this is the data catalog and governance. So this is where data.world comes in, where in our single platform, you have the ability to catalog all of these data products, govern access, and also usage of this data end to end based on roles, essentially. It could be a human role who's consuming a data product for an analytics use case, or it could be something as simple as an AI agent consuming a data product. But regardless of if it is human or machine or some combination therein, you're going to need to govern access to all of these data sources. This is fundamental, right? As talked about, the database performance is fundamental, or else everything in the Jenga tower falls down. Governance also fundamental, front end and back end completely governed. Let's double click a little bit into our knowledge graph because this is exciting. This is the understand piece. We talked about connect, let's talk about understand. You need seamless context. AI agents need to be able to use data intelligently, not just try and be intelligent based on data, right? So AI knows, for example, that a ticket in an IT system is different from a ticket in a customer service system, product return, right? Whatever it may be. The knowledge graph connects all of your people, information you actually know about individuals, processes and products. What does the process actually do? What information does it need? And then also it looks at assets, right? It could be an IT asset. It could be a physical pile of dirt if you're a construction company, and triangulates all of these things. And it basically looks exactly like this pretty graphic here. I mean, it actually does look kind of similar to that. You'll see a version of it. But as a triangulation of all of these relationships between data sources, which is a semantic understanding, not simply connecting them. To be very honest, that's relatively easy in the platform. It is the semantic understanding of what the data means for what is consuming it, right? So for some of you, knowledge graph is not a terribly new concept. This is very exciting. For others of you, it might be very, very scary. But the whole concept of both the data.world tool as well as the ServiceNow platform is complete clarity and simplicity, right? If you've used it before, we've been maybe even over-indexed on really minimizing the complexity that's in these enterprise tools and maximizing on simplicity. So hopefully it makes you feel a little bit better about all the circles and spider webs that you see on this graphic. We'll show you the product as well. But again, with this deep context, AI agents become proactive partners, which is a whole concept. Otherwise, they're just kind of waiting. We need them to be proactive and be able to take intelligent action without us having to tell them, because that's not terribly agentic, is it? Really excited for you to see the demo. You'll be able to see this sort of thing in action. More accurate responses, smarter responses, not just based on the data, but the relationships between those data sources. That brings us to the third and final essential ingredient, data catalog and governance. So I talked about kind of the promise of AI at a high level. We do want to get to this agentic future where, for the most part, we aren't waiting on humans to approve a workflow. Hey, did this thing go through? For the most part, we can alleviate a lot of this busy work with AI agents if they have the right intelligence, information, and relationships, and guardrails to make sure all of this does not go off of the guardrails. So let's keep it on the rails. Governance is vital to this. Business users, for instance, they may be stuck searching endlessly for the right data for their BI project or simply to make a kind of a human-based strategic decision. They might be unsure if the data is even accurate or correct. Also concerning. The governance teams themselves, we have a whole army of these folks who are hopefully doing these things, but they're maxed out, right? They're getting inquiries from all over the place. And as we look at managing the metadata, right? Again, this information, this semantic understanding about what the data source actually means and where it is used, it just doesn't scale in an AI era. It is simply going too fast. We can't have someone tracking down all the executions that are run across a business, right? We have customers running at many, many millions of TPS transactions per second. We don't have time to go track all these transactions down. So that's why we're thrilled to introduce this data catalog and governance tool, data.world. Many of you are probably already familiar with the concept, but as part of ServiceNow, we again are marrying this data cataloging of products, data products, and governance of all of these data sources, again, not just ours, to be very clear, into one platform so that you get, again, data access and connectivity, understanding of that information, and then also the execution. It is an execution platform at its baseline. And so if you're kind of working backwards from I have a business strategy, I need to run a bunch of smart executions to make sure that I execute on that strategy very appropriately, intelligently, and accurately, and then be able to govern all of it, you probably should start there, right? Starting with data and then trying to work forward and build executions on top is really hard. We've been doing it for about 20 years. It's really hard. So start there, work backwards, and then make sure that data infrastructure with your database is actually scalable to go make it all happen. So data.world, again, turns all this data chaos into clarity, helping enterprises discover, enrich this data for accuracy, right? You might have gaps, whatever. You might have a data source over here that has information about a record that isn't duplicated over. Let's make sure that we identify those intelligently. And then also adding this meaning and context. So it's not just a record or a series of records that sits in a table in a database somewhere that you don't actually look at. It's trusted, it is governed, and it is accurate so that we can actually run intelligent agentic executions. And Tim, coming over and tell them a bit more about data.world and then maybe show them a little bit.
Let's do it. And, I think Derek did a great job kind of showing this from 1, 2, 3. I think that this works in the other way as well, right? Which is that, hey, I want to have an understanding of my data landscape and what's out there, right? And I want to manage it well and govern it well. Then I want to provide really great connectivity to connect to that information, structured or unstructured, MCP or API or whatever that might be, and make that available to workflows and AI agents. And then I want to make sure I run all of this on really robust, high-scale infrastructure because AI is going to far outshine human users in terms of the level of scale that they're going to be leveraging all of this. So it works in that other direction as well. So data.world is a leader in data cataloging and governance, really helping you to become AI ready and establish core data discovery, data governance, data quality, and data lineage. We help you turn data into business intelligence and actions, especially now as part of ServiceNow. The actions piece gets completely supercharged. And we are helping to power smarter agents. This morning in Mike Ferguson's keynote, he talked about how it's really important to build out your enterprise ontology and how to build out that data fabric. And that's something that's really important. And we want to make that easy, right? Not everyone here is going to create custom knowledge graphs. Maybe you want to, or custom ontologies. But it would be great if you could just use your catalog and your catalog automatically builds and ensures that for you. And that's what we've done at data.world. Under the hood, even under that nice user experience, actually everything is stored as RDF triples in an open standards ontology. So it's completely a semantic knowledge graph under the hood. And we allow you to leverage that simply by connecting to different systems, cataloging them, and making them available. And we think that knowledge graph underpinning is really important because it allows you not to just kind of understand your technical metadata, but it allows you to really map that to business concepts, business processes. ServiceNow has process mining and all these different ways to look at these different kind of business aspects and bust those different business understanding silos. And then actually analyze that graph to understand where there's problems and how we can actually achieve active metadata. I think as a space we've been talking about active metadata for a while, but it hasn't really been being achieved because that analysis of the graph and that action hasn't really been fully realized until now, right? I think we really do have an opportunity to do that now. When you do this right, an example is a customer of ours, WPP. They do an amazing job really delivering not just human experiences around data, but also AI agentic experiences around data. And I know a few of them are floating around in the conference today, and truly superb to see how you can take a strategy around creating enablement around data and better governance around data and turn that into something where you're creating unique experiences for both your employees as well as your customers. And that's only possible if you center that around a catalog, around governance, around AI readiness, and around a knowledge graph. So with that, I'd love to hop into just a couple of quick demos. I am a little worried about how good the Wi-Fi is here. I don't know how good it's been for you all. So we'll try a little clicking. If it doesn't work, luckily I've got some tabs open so that we can look at stuff. So here I'm in data.world, and data.world provides you that portal into all of the data and information that you have across your enterprise, from data to analysis and so on. Oh, is it not showing? Let's see, is there a way for me to kind of move it over?
There you go.
There we go. All right. Well, actually, let me pull over the entire thing so that we've got all the goodies.
Glad they turned on my mic for this tech support moment.
Yeah. I appreciate that Derek's got my back here. All right, y'all see that okay?
Got it.
Excellent. So here we can see the data.world data catalog, right, where I can go and I can search across all the different assets across my organization. And what's great about this is in addition to being able to look at things by my different sources, you can see I've cataloged Sigma, Snowflake, Fivetran, glossaries, domains. I've got workflows in here for access requests and checks and data versions and data contracts, all the goodness that you would hope to be able to capture in a catalog that's both full of out-of-the-box configurations as well as very flexible as well, but also the ability to have persona-oriented experiences. So I'm logged in as a data engineer, and I'm seeing the assets that are most interesting and important to me, but maybe I'm a business user or business analyst, a data governance professional, and I want to aim people to the things that are most important. These persona experiences are very, very valuable. In addition to being able to search across all this information, we make all of this available through an AI agent experience as well. I'm worried if this is going to work given the Wi-Fi here, but I love live demos. I can't help it. So let's try to do this. I'm looking to do some marketing attribution analysis. Do we have a definition for that already? Is that sensitive data? And do we have a Sigma workbook I can use to accelerate my analysis? So let's go ahead and send that. And we'll see if the demo gods are happy with us today. And so what's happening in the background is that we are using the underlying knowledge graph and using both agentic orchestration as well as graph RAG to leverage all the facts that are part of that knowledge graph and to give us useful information. And you can see it says, hey, here's the formula for calculating this. Here is a link to find more information. The data for this involves some customer level data, which could potentially be sensitive. However, it depends on the context. So it's looking at our PII fields and the sample data that we have to provide some advice on that. And then it's telling us that there isn't any Sigma workbook availability on this right now, but it could give us some additional guidance to develop that if I want to. And now I might be wondering, is this just leveraging the general knowledge of the LLM? Well, I can click on these and I can see exactly those assets in the catalog and know that actually this is pulling from the knowledge graph. It's not just using the general knowledge, right? So that's the explainability aspect of this. You can use this directly through data.world. You can use it in Slack, and you can also use it via MCP and via API. So these are exciting ways to leverage these kinds of experiences. What's also exciting is the ability to visualize the knowledge graph. And so here we'll see a graphical visualization and representation of that information. If it works, we'll see. It did. Excellent. And so we can see that here's that attribute of marketing attribution. We can see that it's derived from this particular data. I can actually see that there's some customer network performance analytic data in Sigma, and I could request access to that. And there's also a data set up here called marketing order attribution. So this gives you a nice way to kind of understand and see all these things. Data.world has very robust lineage as well. And so here, if I kind of make this bigger, I can kind of see the different data lineage for different information. In this particular case, I've got some order information that lives in my raw schema on Snowflake. I've got some different analysis and transformation that's happening so that I can have some order information based on that. And I can export this as reports and be able to do my upstream and downstream analysis. And also, data.world has a very deep and robust marketplace. And what's allowed us to have now almost 900 users on average across our customers, which is extremely high. There's a lot of catalog and governance platforms out there that will have 10, 20, 50 users, that we've seen those using a data product-oriented approach really achieve a lot more. And so that's an exciting way for you all to, if you think about how do I drive adoption of AI agents and of data sets and of APIs in my organization, to leverage this kind of beautiful experience around different data products and allow you to present that information in a very seamless way, almost like an Amazon-like shopping experience, then request access to it, which can kick off a ServiceNow ticket and take it through a more complex workflow, that's how this becomes a very appealing and end-to-end experience. Now, I know we're a little tight on time here, so I'll kind of just flash a few more things. Here is the Workflow Data Fabric hub of ServiceNow. Data.world's catalog is integrated with Workflow Data Hub to provide a comprehensive and connected experience around all your metadata, as well as being able to connect to all those different things. And so you heard us mention about kind of how there's all these different types of tools, unstructured and structured, and streaming that Workflow Data Fabric can connect to. And we have a lot of those already preloaded in this environment here. So I'll just flash that to you. By connecting this data to Workflow Data Fabric, then not only can you leverage that for workflows, you can leverage that for any of the AI agents that you're building as well. And then last but not least, the last thing I'll show you, and then we'll wrap today, is that in general, where are we going? Where are we trying to take this as we go forward? Well, here you can see a vision of where we're headed, which is that we want to provide you a one-stop shop to be AI ready and for it to tell you exactly what you need to do. So we've got some issues here that are happening in our environment. I can see that there's some missing documentation. We can use Archie Chat and Now Assist to automatically create that documentation and those different terms. This is actually functionality that already exists today. Right? I see that there's some issues here with this particular pipeline, and I can see that there's been an issue that's been detected in the schema, and we have actually it connected with a data quality tool to provide more information. If I go and check out the source schema, I can see that's a high priority issue, and it's going to be resolved because I can summarize the underlying content. And there's also a GDPR issue, and I can remediate that automatically by tagging that information in the source with writeback so that it gets archived. So this is a very exciting way to see how we can take this as we go forward to provide a really AI-driven experience and be able to provide you a data control tower for managing all of your data. So thanks, everyone. Hope that was interesting. Come check us out at our booth. We'd love to give you a more detailed demo, and thank you for your time.